All right, let's see. In today's video, I was kind of thinking more about problems. And because we all got problems. Like, one of my favorite things that I heard a little while back was when Tony Robbins said, the only people that don't have problems are dead. It's just that we think that we're not supposed to have problems. And and that's kind of what it is with life, is we always think things should be different than what they are at times. Now, again, that doesn't mean that we don't want them to be different, that we don't strive to make them different. But at the end of the day, if you got a problem, the only way to, get rid of it is to handle it. It's not gonna, ignoring it ain't gonna make the problem going away. And I was, what movie was I watching? Oh, I was watching the Thunderbolts the other day, and that's what it said. You can either deal with the problem now, when it's right in front of you, or you can or let it be there forever. And that's not the exact quote, but it was something like that, where it's like, sometimes we do everything in our power to ignore problems, to not have to deal with them, and they're not going to go away. And now, sure, in the moment you may not have all the answers. I know I've been there and I still have all these things, but that's what makes life interesting, is learning how to deal with these problems from a different angle or in a better way. Because, like, who was it? Jim Rohn said, don't wish for things to be easier, wish for you to be better. And that's the thing, is that society has programmed us to believe that everything's supposed to be easy, everything's supposed to be handed to us. It's the government's fault. It's everything outside of us's fault, other than our own. And that's when you give your power away to all these outside circumstances. I'm not saying solving problems is easy. Trust me, I do wish these things sometimes. I do wish some of these problems weren't there. I do wish I was a little bit better at handling them. But until you get to that point that you actually start to look at it from that perspective, then you actually can learn how to do it. When you're in the moment, you're just blaming it on everything that's ever gone wrong in your life, or blaming it on, the new tariffs, or, the person you voted for didn't win, your boss at work isn't doing the things that you want. I've been dealing with stuff like that over the years too. So, and we all do. But the question is, we always have a choice to decide what we're going to do. Are you going to keep doing the things? Are you going to let all these outside problems get to you? Or are you going to sit there and start to look at it? You know, because again, like, I've been taught over the last few years to take uncomfortable action. Like, and trust me, it's still uncomfortable for me, and it's still hard some days, and I don't like doing it. But I know I have to do it, because if you don't, well, then you're never going to get comfortable. So again, getting on here, like, finally, for, probably a year, I wanted to start this channel, maybe even longer. And then finally one day I just said, you know what, even though I'm uncomfortable, I just got to do it. And that's the thing, is that you never know what's going to happen. I used to, like, freak myself out and be like, oh my God, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if people don't like me? What if people don't like what I have to say? What if they don't like, or they disagree with me? They don't believe what I'm saying. Like, all these things were there until I realized that it doesn't matter. There's always going to be each one of those opinions. There's going to be people that don't like me. There's going to be people that disagree with me. There's going to be people that'll not even, like, do anything. So at the end of the day, the goal isn't to be liked by everyone. The goal isn't, like, to make everybody happy, to, be this perfect being. The goal was to just be myself, in hopes that maybe one person would feel like me, and that maybe what I'm saying would help them figure out something in their lives. And that's still my goal, because I feel like sometimes I wish I would have had all the information that I have now about, taking uncomfortable action, and not realizing that it's never going like, I was always waiting for the perfect time. I was always waiting to feel comfortable to get on here and do videos. But then when I finally realized that the only way to get comfortable is to do, and you're still going to be uncomfortable no matter what. But the thing is to learn how to approach it in a different way with a different mindset, and then your perception changes, and then all of a sudden you're like, wow, maybe it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. You know, the first 20 videos were definitely more difficult than the last 20, but at the end of the day, I had to do the first 20 to get to the last 20. And if I wouldn't have started somewhere, even though I was uncomfortable doing I wouldn't be sitting here today talking to you right now. And that's the thing with anything in life, you know. And I guess it's, you kind of have to look at the problems you have, and that was like one of my problems. Well, what, and like, I guess I'm using that one as an example. I'll use that one as an example that, because there's some questions that to understand the problem at a deeper level is, what do you need to do that you don't want to do? Which was, for me, was getting on here and start doing videos. That was what I needed to do, but I didn't want to do it because I was scared. I was nervous and all those things, and I wasn't sure what I was going to say half the time, or if anybody was going to listen, like I just said. So, but I knew I had to do it because the only way that I was ever going to get where I wanted to go was to get on here and be uncomfortable until you get comfortable. And, you know, let's see what it says. What do you not want to do the most? Yeah, see, the same thing. I didn't want to come on here and do any of these videos because of all the imposter syndrome and, you know, nervousness, and, you know, wondering if it was the right thing to do, if people would listen, if they would agree with me, if they'd like me. But, you know, we all have all those things. That's the ego. The ego is always trying to stop us from doing the thing that we need to do because it's afraid if we make that change, then it's going to lose control over us. And that's the thing, is that it's a good guide sometimes to show you what you need to do, but at the end of the day, don't listen to it. Not every thought we have in our head is true, and not every thought that we think is right. I mean, just like I think I've said before, where the heart pumps out blood, your mind pumps out thoughts. Now, again, you need the blood to survive, obviously. You don't need, well, I mean, I guess you kind of do need the thoughts to survive because it's part of the process, but at the end of the day, they're not all true. Just because a thought pops in your head doesn't mean that it's true. I mean, there's I don't know if it's quantum field physicists or whatever, or quantum mechanics or whatever, but those people believe that all the thoughts are in the air, and that we pull them out as a magnet to our brain with our, you know, mindset, personality, and all, and that too, and that sometimes even the thoughts that we have aren't even our own. We just happen to pick up on them. They're somebody else's. So at the end of the day, there's so many thoughts and so much energy out into the universe in this unified field that we're all connected to, that, you know, there's tons of thoughts in there. Some people believe there's a universal mind, which is like the mind of God, the mind of the universe, where it has all the answers. All we got to do is like tune our frequency of our minds and our beliefs and all that to that, or and open up the channel and ask, and it will come to us. And I kind of believe that too, because it seems like whenever I say, hey, show me what I need to learn, help me figure out this situation I'm in, Lord, or universe, or whatever you want to call it, you know, I'm open to everything. So, and then all of a sudden, like little by little, the information comes to me in ways that sometimes I didn't even see. And that's the thing, is to focus in the moment and do the best you can in every scenario until you can figure it out. Because again, I feel like that's the thing, is that us as human beings, our ego believes that we can figure this all out, and you might be able to. There's no doubt about that. But then there are some situations in my life where, or in people's lives, or any time, where you just can't find the answers. And I feel like that's the call to find that source energy, God, universe, Allah, whatever, whoever, whatever name you want to give it, and ask for the guidance and ask it to show you that. And like, even thinking about stuff like this now is trying to figure out how to solve problems better. Because again, we all have problems, man. Everybody does. And like Tony said, the only people that don't have problems are dead. Because again, and sometimes that just little shift in mindset helps you attack things in different ways. I remember Dan Millman used to say, he used to have a problem where he always wanted people to do what he like behave in ways that he wanted them to behave to make his life easier. And when he finally said he realized that no one's ever going to change the way they behave to make my life easier, he's like, my life actually got easier because I didn't expect it anymore. And to me, when I read that in one of his books a long time ago, I was just like, whoa, it was like boom, because I did the same thing. I always expected the outside world to change to make my inside world better, to make my life easier. And when I realized he was right, that is not that they're not going to do it. You got to change yourself. You are the only person you have control over in your life. You can try to influence people. I can try to help you, but at the end of the day, you guys have to make the decision. I had to make the decision to do something different or become something more or read something more or want to make that change or want to find easier ways to solve problems. We all have that choice, and just because we haven't made that choice in the past does not mean we can't make it right now today. Because again, it's all about where you put your energy and focus on. And you, if you want to go somewhere else, you can always put your energy and focus in a different area in a different direction. It's like that saying says, uh, doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. The only way you're going to get different results is to do something different. The only way I was going to get different results was to fight through that uncomfortable action and get on here and do it until you get comfortable. Anything in life. And then, will any of those problems stop you from solving this problem? What is it about the problem that you cannot tell anyone? So, like, there's a series of questions in NLP that you kind of ask yourself when it goes to looking at problems. So, I'm kind of looking at those two to kind of help me guide everybody through this thing, through this problem. Because, again, when you attack the problem, you know you got a problem, uh, you know you got to do it, you know you got to take care of it. And then think of the pros and cons of the problems. Oh, people might not like me. Oh, okay. Well, not everybody likes anybody anyway. So what's the difference? And focus on the ones that do. Instead of me focusing on me being like nervous and worked up and wondering if I'm good at it, focus on me seeing you on the other side of this video and how can I help you overcome your problems too, and make it about the other person, make it about what it is that the other people will benefit from. Like if I don't get on here and do these YouTube videos, I'm not going to help anybody by having all this energy and all this thoughts in my head and all this information. I've done a lot of work over my years, read a lot of books, went to a lot of seminars, did a lot of things so I could get to this day where maybe I can influence one person. And I want the influence to, but I have to believe it in myself first. And that was the thing, is that you have to believe it in yourself first. You have to believe you can solve this problem. We can all solve problems. Maybe the answer to the problem isn't what it is you thought it should be. Think about that. Maybe there's a different answer, and that's why you can't see it, because you want it to be the answer that you want it to be. And maybe the answer isn't that. Maybe you need to learn something from this. There's so many variables in every problem, but by ignoring them doesn't make them go away. It just makes them worse. So I guess this is like a thing of saying, hey, stand up no matter what. Help solve your problems, analyze it, ask questions, like, do the uncomfortable things. Just like I knew, there's something you need to do that you're not doing. You just are, and me, I was afraid to get on here and find out what the results are. And maybe you guys are too. I don't know. I don't know what anybody's problems are. I just am trying to look for a uh, solution, maybe to mentally, to kind of help people focus through it and see it and write it down in a better light. So it's like, what do you need to do that you're not doing? What do you not want to do the most? What is it about the problem you cannot tell anyone? What is the relationship this problem and problems you have in other areas of your life? Okay, so what's the relationship with this problem, and is it causing other problems in your life? Will any of those problems stop from you solving this one problem? And how will you know specifically if the problem is gone? So these are some things to think about, and that's the thing, is that writing them down and writing the answers to these. You don't have to show anybody the answers, just do it yourself. There's ways to do it. And just thinking about these things and writing it down, like I said before, journaling these things will help you create the space to maybe even maybe you don't have the answer to the problem right now, and by writing all this stuff out, you will actually leave space, and then the God, the universe, or whatever will help you solve the problem for you. But unless you actually do the process, that's what doing the work is sitting down and writing the answers out to those questions I just asked. I'll say them one more time. What do you need to do that you don't want to do? What do you not want to do that you must? What is it about this problem that you cannot tell anybody? What is the relationship between this problem and problems you have in other areas of your life? Will any of those problems stop from solving this one problem? How will you know specifically when the problem is gone? So again, like it says restate it. So this is how you will know that the problem is gone. So like write these answers out and restate them, and just see what happens. You never know. Unless you do it, you won't see. You won't see the results unless you do it. Just by reading this out loud and listening to me is not going to solve the problem. You got to write the answers to these questions out, give it some time, give it some space, and see what happens. I mean, what's the worst thing that can happen? You know? So again, that's my message for the day is that we all got problems. There's nothing wrong with problems. And we're probably always going to continue to have problems at a different level. And remember that you're the one that's in control of most of the ways that you think, if not all of them. So, at least try the process and see if you like it or not. And then like and subscribe so I can keep getting this information out there, because it does help. All this stuff that I've done the last few years has definitely changed my life. So, and I believe it can help others too. So that's my message for the day is just remember, uh, the only people that don't have problems are dead. And that's probably the biggest problem. Have a good day.